Damn, 2 days ago. What up, sis? My bad for the delay. Finally got the time to get to your question. You said based on Matthew 24, assuming that Yahusha is telling the truth, how would you say he came? Through the event of Pentecost and his spirit dwelling the believers, or obviously you wouldn't say rapture. Just curious to know what you would think. He said he will return. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so I know it's confusing because he's talking about his return. He says he will return, but he's talking about different contexts when it comes to his return. Remember, Matthew 24 is him directly answering the question about what he said, what happened to the temple. So that return, that parousia, that arrival, that coming, that's not the second coming. That's not the advent, the second advent in which the last day happens and he resurrects all men and judges the living and the dead. So I maintain that Jesus returned by means of Titus Vespasian. And what I mean by that is Titus was his arm or his hand of judgment against Jerusalem and against the temple. Now, in case you don't understand what I mean by that, or it sounds confusing, consider this. It's not unlike God. It's not unlike Yahweh to use the enemies of, you know what I'm saying, the enemies of his people to judge his people. You dig? He sent the Babylonians. God was the one who rose them up and sent them to do what they did against his own people. Why? Because his own people failed to keep the Jubilee year. Then guess what God does? He then uses the Persians to judge the Babylonians because they were prideful, because they were arrogant, as well as their idolatry. But mostly, God said, because of their haughtiness of heart. So in the context of Matthew 24, Jesus returned to destroy the temple, to destroy those who pierced him, the people that put him on the cross, those who were persecuting his people, which were the Jews at that time, you know what I'm saying? And to judge imperial Rome. I mean, after Nero died, the empire fell apart. It started crumbling. There was a year, you know what I'm saying? AD 69 was the year of 4 emperors or 4 Caesars, 4 kings or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until Vespasian, not Titus, but, the father Vespasian, it wasn't until he assumed the role of Caesar that he began rebuilding the empire. So that's why we see the beast that was slain. It was slain. It had the fatal head wound, and then it was revived. That's what that's talking about. Now, Pentecost, that was just Jesus' promise that the Father would send the Holy Spirit. So that's what that was. That's a separate event. That's not Jesus returning. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus will return physically. But as I've said in other videos, speaking to my TikTok audience for this one, but as I said in other videos, Jesus said he will return on the last day. And when the disciples asked him about that, Jesus just said, don't be concerned with that. You know what I'm saying? Be concerned with being my witnesses. So anyways, I hope that answers your question.